Hey there, I'm Susan Gold. I'm grateful to be with everyone on this platform, and I want to applaud those of you that have gone before me. Your stories are so powerful and impact the way that we are evolving as a global human collective. It takes courage and a lot of inner strength to be so honest in such a taboo arena, but I feel it's a proliferation. And what stays behind closed doors stays in denial. And I feel like that's been imperative to open my heart and open my voice in this arena. So my child's sexual abuse, it started early. I have very vivid memories back to 18 months. And it was spread upon various members of my family, primarily. And I remember at 3 trying to escape the back seat of our family car and trying to get away from my father. But the real visceral memories start when I was 8, and my oldest brother began using me as a lab rat for sexual experimentation. And I never spoke up about it. There was a time that we were on a family trip and I was in the very back with my brother, who foisted himself upon me. And I looked up and I saw my mother catch a glimpse of what was happening in the rearview mirror, and she said nothing. The abuse created very porous boundaries. I had very low self-esteem, and I was an amazing chameleon. Being a super empath, I could feel the tenor and the tone of the room and the person in the room, their energy level. And even I could get full sentences of what they were thinking. I was telepathic. And I still am. Though I shut those gifts down for quite a while in my teens and my early 20s, because I just couldn't take the pain of that kind of clarity and knowing. So all I wanted to do was to get out of the house that I was growing up in. And I wanted to go to New York City and be like Barbara Walters. That was my dream. And at 17, I did leave our family home. And I went to New York City. And Barbara Walters became a side hustle as an exercise client because I wasn't making enough money at the talent agency where I was working. And one day I rang Barbara's door and she said, "Susan, get in here. What is going on with you?" And I was really trying to keep it tapped down. And usually I was better at it, but she was a great interviewer and journalist for a reason. So she got it out of me within moments. I had been sexually harassed in the workplace the day before. My boss chased me around the office suite and grabbed my crotch. And I didn't, quite frankly, know how to handle it. It sent me into such post-traumatic stress and triggered so much trauma, although I didn't know it as trauma then. So she volunteered, Barbara did, to come to work with me that day and confront my predator. And I said, "No, that's okay, Barbara. I think I'm going to be able to do it." And so I went that day and I confronted my boss, and he promptly fired me. And Barbara ended up offering me a job as an admin to her then fiance, who was running a huge film distribution company. But I honestly was able to feel enough within my own being and know that that didn't feel safe to me. And it wasn't my time to be an admin anymore. So I turned her down. And with a couple of months of cash in the bank and just having left an abusive relationship where the man held the purse strings, I'm ashamed to say, I decided to launch my own agency, matching celebrities to brands. And that was so successful. It led me into producing for television and film, very high profile content in New York, and then on to LA for more work in film and in television. But also it helped me open more to the abuse and trauma that I had gone through and experienced, not only as a child, but was really foisting upon myself still, now that my familial predators were no longer in the picture. And the first I ever sought help for any of this was when I was 25 and I was newly sober. And that was the bargain basement flat platform I needed to be clean and sober, to be able to do the work I needed to do, the inner work, to go deep. And that's when more of the memories of the abuse, the sexual abuse, came up. And I would do like hypnosis sessions. And the first one was to go back into the home where I grew up in. And I was so fearful to do it. It took every bit of my cellular body to agree to go into that space. And as I was coming back from that talk therapy traditional session, memories triggered in my body, and I felt my older brother's hands like investigating every crevice of my body, and the tears, they were silent, but they really started to flow, and I had to put my sunglasses on to get back home. And those memories kept coming up. They came up around my grandfather too, and sexual abuse that had came between the two of us. I was in the shower, it came back, my whole body was like jelly, and it felt like, a layer of skin had been stripped from my body, but this trauma was evaporating with it. And I spent 2 years in a women's group for incest survivors. And some of those women had been survivors as infants. And it was really helpful to be in that community. That's where I got my linear storyline down. That's when a lot of the memories did come and piece together. It was almost like Sherlock Holmes putting a piece of a puzzle together. And I was able to write letters and actually speak with my predators. And both were negated. Both of the letters I wrote, my oldest brother said, well, that didn't happen. But if it did happen, here's why it happened. So it was sort of partial affirmation. And I ended up writing a book. It sort of heeded the inner call of the universe. And I did not want to write that book, but it felt like it needed to come out and up. It's called Toxic Family: Transforming Childhood Trauma into Adult Freedom. And it's all on my website, susangold.us, if you want to check out any of that stuff and how I work. But writing that book really let some of the cloistered memories come back up. And it was really a way to address them again and get a firmer footing on all that I had faced. I mean, the denial is pretty strong. Once I got clean and sober, it wasn't as easy to deny my past history. And I went through all kinds of recovery, not just addiction recovery, but also depression and clinical depression. I had suicidal ideation since I was 6 years old, and suffered with it off and on. But what I ended up doing was learning how to work with it, because I call it breakthrough, not breakdown, and was sent to treatment. And it really helped, again, to walk through that trauma on that level. And again, most of the work was verbal. And then later on, I went through a divorce from an alleged narcissist, because I was still living from the outside and feeling like I wasn't enough without a partner, which was probably one of my biggest hurdles to walk through. And that divorce really helped me. I call my ex my greatest guru, as in the word teacher. I have no contact with him, and when there is contact, it's limited and nothing is direct in conversation, because that's what I needed to wake up from another toxic system I was imbibing in. And it was that experience that was really my gift of complete soul evolution, because what I learned from that process is that I did have value. I did have quite attunement with my emotions. I was not only strong, I was brave, and I was powerful, and I was highly intuitive and highly gifted as an empath and telepath. So after that experience, I heeded a call to move from LA and first it was New York, then it was LA, and now I live in rural Montana. I'm talking rural, like I can walk to Canada. It's 4 miles away. It's very expansive. The nature here is unbelievable, but coming here, I felt like I let myself out of a huge locked cell and to live in expansion. And nature's working on me, and I'm getting more clarity on who I really am and what my inner value and discernment actually mean, especially as a trauma survivor, an incest survivor, an abuse survivor. And so what I am doing now is to help others who waken up gently from toxic systems they've experienced and are still experiencing, and maybe don't know their experience, or they do know, to help them wake up and move through them, hopefully faster than I have, and open them to their natural gifts and to help them recognize their natural gifts. And it's such a profound privilege. You can move through this. You can recover, and you can experience your true self and your destiny. So again, grateful to be amongst you. If you want to connect, it's susangold.us, and we are in this together.